Hey guys, welcome back to Planet Mithril, and today we're continuing our journey through the Fellowship profiles with Boromir, son of Gondor, the brave and troubled, ferocious warrior of Gondor, sent to the Council of Rivendell on behest of his father to try and direct the One Ring via the path of Minas Tirith and the Gondorians there. So without further delay, let's talk tabletop. Apologies for the slight delay in the upload of this video. It's been a very busy couple of weeks. There might be a couple of other little delays. May is an extremely busy month for us here, various birthdays and things going on. So if the upload's a little bit sparse, forgive us. We will be back on track as soon as we can. But anyway, let's crack on and get started with Mr. Boromir. Must admit, Boromir has a special place in my heart, as I'm sure he does for a lot of people, as his portrayal in the film was just mwah, magnifique. I always think that Sean Bean's character penance in films is for his character to always die because his names don't rhyme. But regardless, let's crack into this profile of this mighty hero of men. First off, he is a movement of 6. He is fight value 6 with a shoot value of 4 up, so he's no slouch in combat. He is strength 4, which is fairly typical of all hero men models. He's only defense 5 standard, so he's not got the highest defense, but then again, the profile we're looking at, he's mainly wearing cloth and a bit of chainmail. He has 3 attacks and 3 wounds, so he's got some fairly good hitting power there, and he is courage 6. Now, where we start to see some differentiation with Boromir's profile compared to other profiles that we've explored so far is in his might, will, and fate stores. So Boromir's stores are as such. He has 6 might points, a whole 6 might points. That is a lot of might points. And in a game where might points can make the difference between winning or losing, having a stack that large, it's going to tilt some battles your way. This profile of Boromir only has 1 will point, and he has 0 fate points. Now, this is a really lovely way, I think, that Games Workshop have managed to mirror his portrayal in the Fellowship of the Ring. Because in the Fellowship of the Ring, you see him slowly get corrupted by the influence of the One Ring, and how it affects him over the course of the film, and he's not so resistant to the magic. So it makes sense that his profile wouldn't have a great deal of will points to reflect that he is almost tainted in a way in the game, for this particular profile at least, because this is Boromir as he was in the Fellowship of the Ring. And the 0 fate points as well also pay homage to his magnificent redemption in Fellowship of the Ring, in a scene which even now, 20 odd years down the line, still makes me well up inside. So yeah, he has no fate points, and I think that's probably to best reflect how he went down in the Fellowship. So this is a tricky profile. He comes standard with armor and a sword. Obviously, that's obviously included in his profile. And he has a really cool little bit of equipment, the Horn of Gondor. Now, again, you can probably hear, as I say those words, you can hear the glorious tones of that horn being played. And this gives him a little bit more stay power on the battlefield in those tricky situations where he might be getting ganged up upon, and maybe you've burnt through all 6 of his might, which, in my experience, happens quite regularly. But the Horn of Gondor, basically, when you're in combat with 2 or more combatants, if there's a multiple combat and Boromir is fighting 2 or more people, the enemy model with the highest courage has to take a courage test. And if they fail, then the glorious tones of the Horn of Gondor have stricken fear into the heart of them, and the enemies automatically lose the fight. It doesn't always pay off, because most things of significance are generally courage 4 or 5. But they're really nice in those little clutch moments when the enemy hero has used all its might or its will, and then you manage to get the horn off, and they fail, and you can strike blows into them. It's really cool, really, really, really good. It's also really effective against those courage 2 and courage 3 hordes and mobs, orcs, goblins, and the like, because Boromir can probably fairly consistently win that fight without even having to roll. Yeah, I think they've really nailed this profile and really helped to capture how he was and how he felt and how he is to play from the Fellowship of the Ring. He has a number of heroic actions available to him. He has Heroic March, so he can get across the battlefield nice and quick. Heroic Strike, so he can go toe-to-toe with those big fight value 7, 8, 9 beasties. Heroic Strength, and Heroic Defense. Now, Heroic Defense is quite an interesting one for a character like Boromir. Again, gives him that little bit of stay power against things that would otherwise wound him on 4s and 5s. And probably, again, just best reflects when he was fighting the Uruks at the end of the Fellowship, and just that might and that will to keep on going. but again, really captures the essence of good old Bozza and really just helps to reinforce how authentic and genuine this profile feels. He can also buy a horse, gives him that little bit of extra hitting power on the charge. He can buy an elven cloak, as can all the other Fellowship members, and it gives him that little bit more protection against ranged weapons and missile weapons, and let's face it, kinda needs it. And he can also buy a shield, which will up his defense from 5 to 6, and again, just give him a little bit more stay power on the battlefield. He is also a hero of valor and costed at 95 points. So all round, I think an absolutely incredible profile. You get a lot of bang for your buck with this profile of Boromir. You can really punch a quite sizable hole through the enemy ranks with Boromir, either profile of Boromir, either this or the variant White Tower profile, which we'll touch on in a minute. With 6 might points, 5 value 6, if you were to use him as a pure aggression piece and not really mind if he lives or dies, then you're probably going to get your money's worth out of him with the way that the rules stack in his favour, the courage test from the Horn of Gondor, the 6 might points, the 5 value 6, and the strikes and heroic actions available to him. You're going to get some work out of him before he goes down. Again, you have to be a little bit careful. He has 3 wounds, so he's got a fair stack of wounds available to him. But the fact he's got no fate points, once he's taken those 3 wounds, he's gone, he's out. And with a maximum defense of 6, it's not going to be overly hard if Boromir loses the fight for something to wound him. So strength 3 will be wounding him on 6s, which is standard for most warriors. But anything strength 4, so any Uruks, any strength 4 warriors, strength 4 heroes, especially with heroes with might points. Boromir doesn't like heroes with might points fighting him, because if he loses that fight, then he's taking wounds and he's probably going off the board. So I say, he's a whirling dervish, and you can get some serious work out of him. You do also have to play that balancing act really carefully, or at least make sure he's got some support around him to help, or some way of getting out of whatever trouble he might be in, to make sure that you can get the optimum amount of work out of Boromir before he eventually carks it and falls down sideways. He does have a variant profile in the book. There is a Boromir of the White Tower profile in the Minas Tirith section of the army book. And this is Boromir in his prime. This is Boromir around about the time they were fighting for dominance of Osgiliath. This version of Boromir is a princely 160 points. So you're paying nearly double the amount of points for this version of Boromir. But let's see what that extra 75 points might buy you. So in his base profile, nothing really changes. He goes up to a defense 6 standard, because he'll have all the heavy plate armor and Minas Tirith garb on him. So with the benefit of the shield, that takes him to defense 7, which means strength 4 warriors and heroes are then needing 6s to punch through. So it gives him that little bit more resistance to the hard-hitting warriors and heroes that he might come up against. He does lose heroic march on this variant of the profile, which is a little bit of a shame. And really, the only other notable change on his profile is that he gets full will and fate stack. So his will and fate are both increased to 3, as this is Boromir fighting in his prime, with his kin, with his brother, in defense of his homeland. So his fate and will points are both up at 3 now for this variant. So it mitigates that worry of him taking 3 wounds and going down. He's got a chance, as is every other hero, to roll some fate and stay around on the battlefield. And again, with the defense 7 with the shield as well. He's going to be a tough nut to shift. But where this version of Boromir really comes into his own is he has some extra equipment available to him. While he is mounted on a horse, he can have a lance as well. So when he charges in, he's getting a +1 to wound. But the biggest thing he can take now is the Banner of Minas Tirith. And this is a 40-point upgrade and is effectively just a banner. It's a flag. It's a 6-inch banner, which is huge, absolutely huge. That's affecting on the tabletop quite a big surface area, so a lot of your Gondorians are going to get the benefit of this banner. He doesn't suffer any penalties for wielding it, so he, unlike other banner bearers who will suffer a -1 when fighting with said banner, he does not. So he still gets to roll that 6 and he still wins. But we're not done with this banner just yet. In addition to being a banner to warriors within 6 inches, friendly Gondor models, also within 6 inches of it, gain +1 to their fight value. Now, if you're like me and you're an avid Gondor player, you will know that the lack of fight value 4 outside of the realms of Citadel Guard and Fountain Court Guard can be quite painful. But when you're taking this banner, that ups it to fight value 4 for standard Gondorian warriors. And that really helps you go toe to toe with those Uruk-hai armies, with those fight value 4 armies. It's a nice little bonus. But where it really comes into effect is its synergy with the Osgiliath veterans, who have a rule loyal to the captains. Now, this means when the Unscaled veteran is within 6 inches of either Boromir or Faramir, they gain a +1 to their fight value, which is based out of 3 for Osgiliath vets. So they go up to fight value 4 when they're fighting within 6 of Boromir and Faramir. If they're fighting within 6 of Boromir with the Banner of Minas Tirith, these Osgiliath vets then go up to fight value 5, which is insane for a standard man of Gondor. Fight value 5. That's going toe-to-toe with Galadrim and other really elite warriors of Middle-earth. Yeah, that is such a strong ability, and it states it stacks with other fight value bonuses, so that this is legit. That they get the fight value 5 when they're fighting within 6 of Boromir with the banner. And if you mount Boromir on a horse with the Banner of Minas Tirith, your area of influence is even wider because the base is obviously larger than the normal 25mm base. This is how Gondor run. But yes, so those are two very, very different profiles of Boromir of Gondor. Again, like we say, really lovely that it's very disparate. You've got the Armoured in its prime, and you've got the Fellowship, who is corrupted and slightly a little bit worse for wear and a little bit clouded, and it's both reflected in their profiles. And both profiles fit very well with the army lists they're included in. The Boromir Fellowship is obviously in the Fellowship army list, and the Armoured variant is in the Minas Tirith list, who can then ally along with other things such as fiefdoms and Rohan and other things like that. So there's some really good combinations to get some really quite hurty lists out there. But we hope you enjoyed this little look into Boromir, son of Denethor, Captain of Gondor, son of Denethor, hero extraordinaire, hobbit protector, and all-round absolutely ferocious tabletop model. We plan on being back next week with another painting tutorial. It's either going to be probably either the Mordor Uruk-hai, the Witch King, or Saruman. It depends what we get painted first. But until next time, guys, take care, and as always, happy hobbying. Bye, guys.